I'm sure you've heard a lot about ChatGPT since its release in November, and it's received a lot of attention and contributed to the emergence of many AI tools. So has the advent of ChatGPT changed your perception of intelligence?
Well, no, it hasn't. Even though I'm not familiar with a lot of the educational applications when it comes to intelligence itself, no changes.
How come?
Well, intelligence, I mean, if I take a look at the AI program and what they're trying to accomplish, I'm seeing a goal of attempting to do the sort of thing that Ray Kurzweil talked about even back in the 1990s. Talking about transhumanism, human 2.0, trying to replace, basically to arrive at a singularity, to replace the human body in case someone were to die. It's to solve the problem of mortality. And so when I hear the word intelligence in an AI context, I'm not hearing anything in ChatGPT that changes that.
How about let's take a step back? How would you define intelligence?
Yeah, so intelligence is something that is personal in nature. It's the ability to essentially to learn, and learning can be done in one of 5 broad ways. I mean, learning can be done using math deduction. It takes intelligence to do that. Mathematical induction, scientific induction, or the scientific method. The historical method requires intelligence, but also being able to receive truth from a trusted authority figure takes intelligence, because you have to discern the credibility and the message coming from the person who's sending that message.
Yeah. Do you mind giving some examples of each of these aspects?
Sure. So math deduction, I mean, that's the sort of thing that you do in a geometry class where based on the givens, you then go through and use logic and theorems to arrive at a conclusion. Mathematical induction is just a specialized topic within the pre-calculus curriculum where you reason, instead of from general to particular, you reason the other way around, from particular to general. But yeah, there's a process for doing math induction. It's kind of specialized. Mostly it's just math students that know about that. Scientific induction is the name given to the scientific method, which starts out with, some real world problem where there's a working hypothesis. You design an experiment to test the hypotheses, and then based on p-values, you either reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis at certain alpha levels. So, I mean, that's, the scientific method essentially comes down to using a model to calculate those probabilities, those p-values. Now, the historical method, that's a fourth way of knowing that we often see going on in a court of law. You have, in a court of law, they use eyewitness testimony, written testimony, and artifacts like Exhibit A, Exhibit B. And based on that, a jury of your peers is supposed to try to eliminate reasonable doubt to either, in a criminal trial, render the accused either guilty or not guilty. So this is actually what can be used to look at the claim that Jesus rose from the dead, and using the historical method, a reasonable person can arrive at a conclusion of whether or not Jesus rose from the dead. Notice that's not something that would be arrived at using math deduction, math induction, or scientific induction. Now, the fifth way, just receiving truth from a trusted authority figure. I mean, that happens, that's probably the way of knowing that people have the most experience with, because that's what we start with. That's when a child is in the relationship with their parents. They realize, oh, my parents, they love me. I trust that what they're telling me is true, and they're receiving truth from before the time they can talk.